I've actually said this before. We're gonna stop the video here, basically, because we have a lot to get through. But when it comes to like people and how they are, people already have like what they're going to believe, right? And so that's why we have so many different like political problems here. People are already believe what they believe because of the how they were raised and what they grew up in, and it only takes one person to reaffirm those ideas outside of their community to solidify their placement in that belief. Again, someone could be an atheist, growing up in a super religious household, and then someone else could be, an atheist, and it's just going to confirm and reaffirm those beliefs. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that's just how people's psychology kind of works. It helps to have your ideas reaffirmed than it is to have someone go against it, because fighting against someone else's beliefs, again, like I said, that's a lot more difficult, which is why me personally, if I were to get into a discussion with someone about religion or politics or anything, is I would actually listen to their side of the story, because I feel learning something is more important than sticking to your own ideas and staying within your own reality, basically. But that's just a conversation for another day. Again, I like going to Professor Dave because I learned so much from the guy. So I always enjoy all of his videos. Like I said, it's so fun to see. For one, it's fun to see people when what they believe, because some people do believe some pretty like shady shit. It's just a very interesting way of looking at life. I like seeing other people's perspectives, but again, I do like laughing at people who are just completely wrong about life. That shit right there, man. It gets on my nerves how many people do believe wholeheartedly in something as dumb as that. And I'm going to have to call it dumb. I'm going to have to. But again, I don't really blame them that much, honestly. I really don't. Again, when you long, psychology-wise, when you long to believe in something and you choose not to really ask questions or really like do your research, you really want this to be real. So that's just how it's going to be to you. Whether it's real or not doesn't matter. You have something to believe in now, so. Yay, I feel like I'm special. So that's just how it goes sometimes. It's sad, but that's how it is. I mean, the same argument can be made about the same argument can be made about religion. It's like, man, I want to believe that this is true, so I'm going to. And the more that I believe that it's true, the better. It's just the fact that some religions say that if you don't believe in that religion, or you distance yourself from it, you're going to automatically go to a terrible place because you didn't know about it. So some people in certain religions believe that people in different religions are going straight to a certain place because of their belief system. And then that's where the big argument starts of which religion is actually the most real. I don't think it's fun at all. I actually think it's actually kind of disgusting, the fact that people would argue over what religion is true, because again, the argument stems from the fact that I'm right and I don't want to be wrong, because how could it be wrong when I've worshipped it or listened to it or been a part of it? It's been a part of my life for so long. It's crazy, man, what people would go through to believe in something. But like I said, it's all about the community that you grow up in. When you grow up in a community of science and intelligence, you then start to question everything, and which is why you just don't question everything. You also research everything too. But when you're in a very spiritual household, it's so much easier to believe in spirituality. I'm not trying to say that spirituality doesn't exist, because I do believe that there is some other forces of nature at work, but nothing along the lines of, hey, I know how this external spiritual force works that I cannot demonstrate at all. But if you buy my book or go to this sermon or go to this island for goo gobs of money, you will then learn exactly what I learned, which is fuck all nothing. Just a bunch of buzzwords on an island full of a bunch of people who were just like you, because it feels better. It feels more better to be part of a community than it is to actually, be by yourself and feel stupid. Having people around you that reaffirm your beliefs, it's so much better. Some people just can't take being alone. Some people have been called stupid their entire lives. And so being around people who are just like them makes them feel less stupid. Some people feel like in order for them to mean something, they have to be a part of a community, of people. In order for their opinions to mean something, they have to be a part of a community. It's sad. It's truly sad. I wish people didn't have to go through those kind of things in their life, but like I said, not everyone's going to, if it wasn't for these different cultures, you know what I mean? I think we would just be a very boring civilization. Then again, we'll be a very, intelligent one. But again, I do believe that there are some room for that kind of creative thinking because of the fact it does, give us very creative, I don't know, media, I guess. Not from the fact of like selling somebody like pseudoscience, but like, think of like superheroes and things like that. Like, I feel like the creative mind, the creative part at least, if everyone was so deep rooted in like psychology and facts and stuff, again, I don't believe there'll be a realm for superheroes because, again, how would this person be able to fly? Well, he just kind of does. Well, I don't think this person should be allowed to fly because scientifically that would be impossible, So it's just like, I feel like it's good that we do have these kind of creative minds. It's just sometimes these creative minds take fiction way too serious, and I think that's where it becomes a problem. But like I said, there is a market for people who think that way, and you can make a lot of money off of people who believe in mysticism. Because again, for them, that's their life, So, but as much as they're being taken advantage of, these people do enjoy this kind of lifestyle. And even if you were to tell them the truth, they're not going to listen. No one's going to listen to Professor Dave's little video there. Why would they? It goes against everything that they believe in. Why would I ever want to listen to anybody tell me that I'm wrong? The things I spent multiple hundreds of dollars on, that it's wrong. This was my life at one point, and for you to tell me that it's not completely true, why would I want to listen to you? Even if it does sound remotely, true, like why would I want to believe you? Again, I have my beliefs right now. I mean, I believe that Grand Theft Auto 5 isn't a good game. If there was an entire YouTube video explaining that it actually is, I'm not gonna listen to it. Why the fuck would I? So yeah, it's just weird, man. Like I like it. Don't get me wrong. I said I do like the idea of people being able to have their own like little belief systems and stuff. I just believe it does get taken a little too far with some people, to the point to whereas you are just straight up lying to them, and that's where it gets like morally wrong. Because even the person who's saying it out loud knows that they're saying a bunch of bullshit, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's bullshit. The only thing that matters to me is that I'm making money off of you, and it works, man. It fucking works. But it's always interesting to see what people actually believe in. It really is. Seeing something outside of my own comfort zone. And also understanding why. Because, I mean, I'm not just sitting here and laughing at people for just believing something different. I'm also getting into their mind and understanding why they do believe it. And it's because of the fact that you're saying a bunch of things they don't understand, and it just sounds smart. So how could you be wrong when you were intelligent, That's why they mostly believe. And the fact that they actually want to. I'm not saying you can just walk up there and say that ass juice is the answer to cancer or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think anyone's going to believe that, but like the fact that you do kind of link some kind of science to your own reality does make it more believable. So, and sometimes, like I said, Christianity doesn't work for everybody, Me personally, I don't think I have that thing that he talked about where humans have that innate ability to want to believe in something more divine, you know what I mean? I don't really have that. Either something is divine or it's not. You know what I mean? But I do understand that some people, like, again, it dates all the way back to like Ra and those kind of Egyptian gods where, they bring the sun, like, or Khepri. Again, they bring the sun in the morning and stuff when we know it's just a rotation of the planet, right? But these people believe wholeheartedly that there's an actual creature or Birdman that actually does send the sun back and forth and puts the moon in the air, or there's people that can draw power from the moon. Again, it's always been there, you know what I mean? And these people are divine beings that are beyond our understanding. Again, all creative mind thinking. If it wasn't for these kind of things, like I said, we wouldn't have superheroes. Again, thinking of very matter of fact, it kind of sucks the fun out of anything, because sometimes the suspension of disbelief actually makes things a whole lot more fun, It's just the fact that, again, like I said, instead of you doing that with media, you're doing that with your own life. And that's what makes it bad, Is, again, instead of you going to seeking medical help, you choose to go and, rub your body with crystals and hope that the bad energy goes away and you're automatically cured of cancer. Like, no, you need to go get treated for that. Or, you now have some kind of, disease that you can't get rid of at the moment. Again, the operation costs such and such amount of money, but you would rather, take the more cheaper route. It's kind of sad, And then we sit back and these people believe these things, and it's just, again, like I said, I'm always going to be for people believing in whatever the hell they want to believe in. That's fine. But like I said, it gets dangerous when people sell you and and people believe the fact that, you know, this mystical thing can actually help you in real life. Like, no, it's best that you listen to science. There's a reason why science is around, you know. It's there. People have spent their entire lives studying how to make the world better, you know. And just not even making the world better, to just understand how things work. And some people would rather just not listen. And it's just like, goddamn, you know. I mean, I understand you want to believe in your crystal to save you from whatever, you know, bad situation you're in. I understand that, you know. I would like to believe that a crystal would solve my problems too. I wish a crystal would come in and get me out of poverty, right? But that's not true. No, that's not how things work. Life doesn't work that way. Believe me, if it were that easy, it would have been done a long time ago. Don't think you discovered something new. You know what I mean? Believe me, if a crystal was really that helpful, a lot more people would be using crystals right now. Because scientifically, it would have already been proven to work. Like I said, I'm never going to sit back and just laugh at a person for what they believe in, no matter how goofy it may seem. Again, my main thing, as long as it's not hurting anybody, then you're fine. And if you're hurting yourself, then that's up to you. You know, that I can't really stop you from hurting yourself. That is a choice you have made. If you are suffering from something and you choose to rub a fucking crystal on your body to get rid of the bad energy so it can go away, then that's up to you. But don't force someone else to have to rub crystals on their body. You know what I mean? To get rid of their bad juju. Take your children to the hospital and whatever else other examples fit the theme that I'm saying. One of the things I think is actually funny, I think I've said this before already in the past, a lot of people don't want to put trust in science, and because they feel like the science and government go hand in hand. You know what I mean? Which again, like I said, the government wants you to believe, you know, that gravity exists or whatever the fuck they say. Like, I understand. I get that, you know. But it's weird that you would put so much distrust in the government, but so much trust in food that's been approved by the FDA, which is a government-owned organization. Like, you will say that I don't believe in, you know, the vaccine really quick, but then, because, you know, it's a government thing, but then turn around and buy ground beef from the store. You know, it's like, that's a little weird. Like, so you don't want to take the vaccine because you think it's inadvertently trying to kill you because of the government, but at the same time, you buy ground meat that's been approved by the government that you've been eating your entire life. I feel like if the government really wanted to kill you or kill everybody, mass murder, I feel like they would have put it in the ground meat that you eat because it's approved by the government. I just don't understand. That's why I was never really afraid of the vaccine. It's just like, if the government wanted to kill me, FDA approves all the food that I put in my stomach. You know what I mean? And without the FDA, nothing's regulated, you know? So we need the FDA around to approve the food so we know we're not getting poisoned. But at the same time, it's like, how do you not trust the vaccine but also trust the food approved by them? It's like the whole, you know, government's tracking you with the vaccines. It's like, yeah, they're tracking you through your phone too if they really wanted to. It's just, I don't know. It's just, this is just, I always try my best to think of things logically. You know what I mean? As logically as I possibly can. And like I said, if the government really wants Jasper dead, if the government really wants me dead, they are going to kill me. I don't see how I can fight the government by still living my life, working my job, and still having a social security number that you can track that has all my credit scores on it from what I've bought and everything. Like, I don't see how a vaccine is now the epitome of the government controlling people. I just don't understand that. You know, that's just weird to me. And from what the studies have shown, people who, you know, for at least COVID, at least people who 99% of the people who have died through complications of COVID have all been people who have been unvaccinated. So, I mean, the numbers kind of speak for themselves. I'm sure the numbers kind of probably dropped to, like, I'm pretty sure it's like 90 or something, but I know it's above 90% of people who've died from COVID has been unvaccinated. It's weird. And okay, I'm trying my best to make sure this vaccine talk doesn't last too long. I thought it was weird that the vaccination, I mean, people want to say the government's trying to make money or whatever, or, you know, whatever the fuck the government's trying to do. And the vaccination has always been free. You know, you want to say big pharma and things like that. I know people have said that before in the past. And it's like, well, if the government, I just feel like since it's free, I don't see what harm it's really doing to your wallet, you know. It can't be there just to make money off of it, you know, because no one's yet to pay for it. But, I mean, that's the other side of it, not really costing anything. So it's not like, you know, the government's trying to get more money out of you. I mean, hell, the people who are trying to get the most money out of you are who, like Walmart and Kroger and places like that, who purposely, not even those places, the companies that make your food, you know, like Kellogg's and things like that raise the prices because of inflation or whatever, because they want to believe that inflation is the thing. They're the ones that are trying to get the most money out of you, you know. The best example I can come up with is that okay, so prices have been raising up more and more, and it's because of inflation and things like that, right? That's what they tell you, at least. The companies, not just they, as in they're just some big ghost. No, like actual like companies like Kellogg's and things like that. They tell you that the reason why their prices are increasing is because of the fact that inflation is a thing, and it costs more to, bring in the food that they need to make for you. Like, they bring in oats. So since oats went from $20 a bag to $30 a bag, we're not going to raise our prices. These are multi-billion-dollar companies, by the way, so they're making a huge profit, no matter if they're paying 20 or 30. But it's the fact that the people behind, what was it, the Arizona Tea Company? Basically, since this whole inflation thing has started, they've yet to increase their prices at all. I think the CEO even came out and said, yes, we're not raising our prices because we don't have to. We're not going to raise our prices because of quote unquote inflation. Arizona tea is always going to be $1, and the jugs are always going to be, $2.19. Because why would we need to change our prices? And it's small little things like that lets me know that big companies are only looking for an excuse to raise prices. You know what I mean? And that's just how I see it. I see big companies, I feel like that should be what people should be more against. Because, again, I've seen examples where companies said, no, we're not raising our prices because we don't have to. Where other companies feel like, oh, no, if we don't raise our prices, then we're going to go under. No more Frosted Flakes. It's like, that's kind of a lie. I mean, you didn't become a multi-billion-dollar company just breaking even, or just breaking over even. No, you made your money by specifically turning a huge profit. Basically, or at least that's just how I see it. You're turning a huge profit, and so it's just, for me, this is just me, I just feel like it's a little weird that you would fight against the government so wholeheartedly, trust their institutions like the FDA to make sure your food's clean and I don't know, bacteria free, and then turn around and say that the vaccine also is something that you should be scared of because that's the boogeyman, but then also not really get mad at companies for raising prices on their stuff when there's other companies out there that didn't because they didn't have to. It's just, for me, I try my best to pick my battles. You know what I mean? I do. And it's not because I lean one way or another. I try my best to just think of things as logically as I can. Again, the vaccine's bad. Okay, why is it bad? Because it's there to track your movements, or it's there to kill you in like a few years or something. Like, bro, I've been getting my hamburger meat and my chicken and my food. All that stuff has been approved by government associations. Believe me, if they really want to kill all of us, they'll just allow the FDA to put whatever the fuck they want to put into the food. And then you'll be sick, and then you will die that way. They don't need it. They don't need a vaccine. Why would they want to? Why would they use a vaccine, bro? You eat barbecue almost every fucking day. That they would just put the stuff in the fucking food that you get. You know what I mean? Again, it seems to me the vaccine's a little too complicated, man. When there's so many more simple solutions, the government ain't stupid, bro. And then they're not. I don't see why they would use the vaccine to track you. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Again, I'm just trying to look at this logically. You know what I mean? And again, like I said, the whole, I'm speaking in circles now, but just to get my point across, inflation, it's not really that bad. Companies are just using that as an excuse. Inflation started getting the worst after everyone's stimulus came out. And so companies saw that as a way of getting more money out of people. So that's why they rose their prices. So when everyone starts spending their stimulus, we'll get more money back. But they realized that, hey, we can keep our prices relatively high and people are still going to pay for our stuff. What? People aren't going to be outraged. All we got to do is just say inflation and we'll be good. And so that's where we are now. Because if people were to actually fight against the bigger companies, and be upset and possibly not buy those things, then, the prices would go back down because the people are not making as much money. But, people would rather just, still pay for the stuff. I get it. There's really not much of a choice. I understand. You want your food. And I'm not mad at that. It's just the fact that people want to fight the government so hard. But if the same amount of people who fought against the vaccine fought against the big companies like, I'm going to keep on using terms like Kellogg's and things like that. And I don't know what else. I can't really think of another one. Welch's and Nestle. If we fought against those kind of companies, well, those people who are so anti-vax, if they fought against those companies, man, prices would be low as fuck right now. Like, I'm not buying anything from Kellogg's, you know what I mean? Because I don't agree with the prices that they're using. I'm just going to get my food from a different company altogether. You know what I mean? Again, prices would go down. They would, But, like I said, people want to believe that, that's just how life is. It's weird that, inflation is how life works when these are multi-billion-dollar companies, It's like, yeah, they got up there by making a huge profit off of something. They buy something for $20 and they sell it for 200. You know what I mean? That's how they make their money, yeah. And since there's a lot less money flying around out of people's pockets, you know what I mean? And money, the dollar means a whole lot more now. It's crazy. No one could use a boogeyman to scare me into not getting the vaccine. Like, that doesn't work on me. It doesn't. That shit does not work on me. Again, if the government wants me dead, they are going to kill me. And there's nothing. The government can show up to my house right now, shades and suited and booted and everything, shoot me, and in front of the entire neighborhood, walk off and not have to suffer any consequences. What's going to happen? They're going to get persecuted? They're the fucking government. No. Again, whatever reasonings they have for shooting me, that's the reason. That's just how it is. Again, honestly, if the way the police have been policing isn't a good idea of how the government actually works, bro. Like, that's just how. Again, they are most of all above the law because they kind of are the law. I mean, the whole point of the whole Black Lives Matter protests were to basically say that police officers and government officials aren't above the law. And people spun it in a way to make it seem like that Black Lives Matter was a terrorist organization out to get the white people, when the entire idea of Black Lives Matter was specifically because of the fact that we want to show that the government isn't above the law, as they should also be prosecuted for their actions. It's just the fact that the reason why it was called Black Lives Matter is because, it feels like they don't. It just kind of feels like Black lives kind of don't. It's just that people were able to use those three words and then turn around and say that they are so pro-black that they're anti-white. And then, so it kind of worked. And it got to a point where people who even preached Black Lives Matter said that we're against white people. And it was never about fighting against white people. It was never for that. It was never about white people. Believe me, if Black Lives Matter was fighting against white people, it would have been a thing a long time ago. It's weird that when cops started killing black people, then the organization sprout up, you know what I mean? Rather than it just sprouting up out of nowhere because we've always hated white people. It was never about white people, never was. It's just, disinformation and getting your sources from certain people. It muddied the waters and people formed their own realities. And at this point, it's the Black Lives Matter movement is so controversial that people can't differentiate what's real and what's not. They have their own reality now. Like, again, I couldn't say Black Lives Matter to anyone. Everyone already has their own idea of what it's supposed to be. But at its core, the core thing about Black Lives Matter is the government isn't above the law. That was the entire thing. It's just the fact that since they were saying white cops are killing black people, people were able to use those specific terms and turn it into, oh, they just hate white people. They hate you. You're white. And so that means you're wrong automatically, even though it has nothing to do with white people. Nothing to do with white people. It's just a big, huge mess, at this point. Again, and I know people in the black community were saying, well, I don't support the Black Lives Matter movement because there's black on black crime. So it's just like, again, what happens between, DeAndre and Tyrone is between DeAndre and Tyrone. That's their business, If DeAndre kills Tyrone, then DeAndre is going to get tried and go to prison, But if a police officer kills Tyrone, he gets to walk off scot-free. That's not really fair. That's kind of the entire thing. It's not about. It wasn't a person versus person issue. Black Lives Matter was never a person on person issue. It was always person versus government. Which is funny because I know a lot of people who are anti-vax are against the government. So it's like, you guys should have loved that movement. But again, they didn't feel involved because it had the term black alongside of it. So it's like, oh, well, I'm not invited to this party, so I automatically hate it. It's like, that's not what it was. But again, people have gotten their own definitions of what it meant. So it doesn't matter what I say it actually means. It doesn't. People are just going to say, it actually means this. And I have examples of Black Lives Matter people doing this thing, that I got from my source on the news. And it's just like, I can't say that you're wrong, right? Because what you got your information from is factually true. I can't say that you're wrong about it. But at the same time, the real definition wasn't what you were shown. It was actually a very big peace organization. There was a lot of peaceful protests. So you guys can understand, we can shine light on the fact that these guys, these cops are not above the law. Because, you know, today is black people and tomorrow, you know, it's white people. Not everyone's oppressed. Funny enough, the reason why I bring that up is because shower thoughts, am I right? Is the same way with the capitalist society we have today. You know what I mean? It's crazy that slavery was once a thing, right? And then we abolished slavery, and look at what's going on today. People who are at entry-level jobs, even people who are making, you know, $20-$30 an hour, most people are living paycheck to paycheck, and it's sad that a lot of people are like one missed paycheck and a medical emergency away from being homeless. You know? Again, it's like we kind of rely on giving these companies, these billion-dollar companies, even more of our time and age and effort and energy just to just make it. You know what I mean? And again, I feel like that's also slavery, because again, yes, you have to realize people who were in slavery, the slaves, yeah, they had housing. You know what I mean? They were inside some fucked up hut or whatever. They had housing. Yeah, they got food. You know what I mean? But they work their asses off every fucking day. And so it feels like we're kind of repeating that today. It's just called employment. Since, you know, the people in charge, the rich people, couldn't keep black people as their, you know, personal money making machine, they now just turn to everyone. You know what I mean? Because now it's a whole lot easier to sell, you know, slavery when it's, you know, not called slavery. And like I said, it's a frog in the water thing. If you put a frog in water and you slowly turn up the temperature, the frog's going to soon boil to death, because it's not going to know that that the temperature has been slowly rising, you know? And so that's kind of what happened with our capitalist society. That's how I call the current capitalist society, I call it modern slavery, because people are just making just enough to get by, and not even that. You know what I mean? Some people are working a job and still homeless. Like, I don't understand that. How is that even possible? You know? How is that even possible? So yeah, I just, again, either you work and you get enough to eat and live, or you work part-time and you don't get anything, because everything's the cost of living has increased exponentially. But again, the minimum wage hasn't, and no one can keep up with it, you know? Like I said, I understand where people are coming from, you know? I do get it. Just like I said, that's just how the environment they're growing up in. When you're growing up in an environment that hates the government for a certain amount of reasons, you don't look for patterns or anything. You just hate the government because you're just told to. And it's easy just to you know, believe something you're taught than it is to kind of think about it, because where do you start? And if you do start thinking about it, you know what I mean, who are you going to bounce your ideas off of? No one's going to want to listen to you, because people already have their ideas of what they believe. If you say, hey, so isn't the government ahead of the FDA or whatever, the person that you're talking to who taught you to hate the government isn't going to want to listen to that, because they want to still buy their barbecue and their ground meat without feeling guilty about it. But again, they're still a part of a community that hates the vaccine, so they're going to keep hating the vaccine because that's what's easy. Hating ground meat and chicken and all those other, and pork and stuff approved by the FDA is a whole lot harder than hating the vaccine when you're a part of a community. Shower thoughts.